Welcome to Shh Sleep, your nightly sanctuary for peaceful bedtime stories and soothing relaxation. I'm Luna, and I'll be your guide tonight as we float among the stars and drift into a world of quiet wonder. Tonight's story is The Dream Weaver's Journey. We'll follow Calla, a gentle-hearted dream weaver who spends her nights creating beautiful dreams for others, yet has never had one of her own. When a mysterious silver-winged owl delivers an invitation to the legendary Dreamscape, she embarks on a journey through the sky in search of the one thing she has always given away but never kept for herself, a dream of her own. But before we step into this dreamlike adventure, let's prepare our minds and bodies for deep, restful sleep. Find a comfortable position and let your body relax. There's nowhere to be, nothing to do. This is your time to unwind. Take a deep breath in through your nose and slowly out through your mouth. Once more, in and out. Now let your breath settle into its natural rhythm, like the gentle rise and fall of clouds drifting in the night sky. Imagine a soft, silvery mist surrounding you, wrapping you in warmth like a weightless blanket of stardust. With each breath, feel the mist settle over your forehead, smoothing away any tension. Let it flow down to your shoulders, melting away the weight of the day. The mist drifts gently down your arms, through your fingertips, filling your chest with a quiet, peaceful glow. It flows down your spine, your legs, and to the tips of your toes, leaving behind only relaxation. Notice how your body feels now, lighter, calmer. If your mind begins to wander, let it drift like a feather on the wind, floating gently back to your breath. Take one final deep breath in and exhale, releasing the last traces of the day. Now let's begin our journey into the stars. Let the words of the story wash over you like a soft lullaby as you drift deeper into rest. Let's begin. The floating island of dreams drifted through the quiet sky, suspended between the stars and the slumbering world below. Wrapped in the hush of night, it was a place of soft wonder, where moonflowers glowed like tiny lanterns and pools of silver water reflected the constellations above. At the heart of this drifting sanctuary sat Calla, her hands gliding over the delicate threads stretched across her loom. She wove with the patience of the wind, her fingers threading together strands of light and whispers, binding them into dreams that would soon drift down to sleeping souls far below. Tonight's dream was a gentle one, a vision of a quiet forest where golden leaves rustled like whispered secrets and fireflies danced along a winding riverbank. Someone in the waking world needed peace, and so she wove it for them, pouring the hush of night breezes and the warmth of candlelight into each thread. When the dream was finished, it rose like a gossamer ribbon, weightless as mist, before the wind carried it away. Calla watched it disappear into the endless stretch of sky, knowing it would soon find the one who needed it most. This was her life. This was what she did, night after night. And yet, Calla touched the edge of her loom and felt the quiet ache in her chest, the one she never spoke of. It was a strange thing, to create dreams for others, to fill the world with wonder, yet never step into that wonder herself. For as long as she could remember, she had only ever woven dreams. She had never had one of her own. She never allowed herself to think about it too long. It was easy to keep her hands moving, to stay busy, to fill the night with the quiet work of weaving until there was no space left for wondering. But tonight, the wondering would not leave her. A soft whoosh of wings stirred the air, and Calla looked up just as a silver-winged owl descended, its feathers catching the glow of the moon. It landed on the arch of her loom, blinking at her with round, knowing eyes. In its beak, it carried a folded slip of parchment. Calla hesitated before taking it, her fingers brushing against the cool, silken paper. When she unfolded it, a single line of silver script glowed softly against the dark page. To enter the dreamscape, one must carry a dream of their own. The Dreamscape. The name alone sent a shiver down her spine, not of fear, but of something else. Something deep and unspoken, like the hush before a melody begins. The Dreamscape was a hidden realm, known only in whispers, where dreams were born before they ever touched the minds of dreamers. It was said to be a place of endless possibility, where stars and stories entwined, where dream weavers could step inside their own creations and feel the magic they had only ever given away. Calla's heart quickened, and for the first time in a long while, she felt something close to longing. But then she reread the words, "One must carry a dream of their own." A soft wind curled around her, stirring the silver threads of her loom. The words felt heavier than they should have. She had spent so long creating dreams that she had never once stopped to wonder, what would she dream for herself? The owl tilted its head, waiting. Calla closed her eyes. She didn't have an answer, but for the first time, she wanted one. She turned back to the owl, feeling the quiet certainty settle in her chest, like a single note of music waiting to become a song. "I will go," she whispered. And so, for the first time in her life, Calla left her loom behind and stepped into the unknown, not to weave a dream, but to find one of her own. The moment Calla stepped away from her loom, the wind shifted, carrying her gently forward, as if it had been waiting for this moment all along. The sky stretched before her, deep and endless, a sea of twilight woven with drifting clouds. The silver-winged owl led the way, its silent flight a promise that she was heading somewhere she had never dared to go before. She walked across the sky bridge, a delicate path of woven starlight that appeared beneath her feet, dissolving behind her as she moved forward. With each step, she left behind the only world she had ever known. The quiet island, the loom, the endless giving. A weight lifted from her shoulders, but a question settled in her chest like an unopened door. What will I dream for myself? She did not know the answer, but she hoped the journey would tell her. The stardust foxes. As the sky bridge faded into mist, Calla found herself in a field of glowing flowers, stretching as far as she could see. The petals pulsed with golden light, blooming open, and then closing in slow, sleepy waves, as if they were breathing. A soft rustle, then a glimmer of movement. From between the glowing blossoms, a fox with fur like falling stardust stepped forward. Its eyes were bright, playful, as if it knew something she did not. "Are you lost?" it asked, its voice like the hush of wind through leaves. "I don't know," Calla admitted. "I think I'm looking for something." The fox tilted its head. "Or maybe you're learning how to stop looking." Before she could ask what that meant, the fox leapt into the air, twirling in a spiral of golden dust. Then another fox appeared, and another, until they were dancing through the field, chasing light, twirling through the air as if there were no weight in their bodies, as if the joy of movement itself was enough. Calla watched them, mesmerized. She had spent so long weaving dreams for others, always focused on the end result, the perfect moment of comfort. But here were the foxes, dancing for no reason at all, for the simple joy of it. She hesitated, then took a step forward. The foxes leapt around her, playful and free, and for the first time in a very long while, Calla let herself simply exist. She let go of the questions, the doubts, the ache of never knowing. She closed her eyes and felt the warmth of the glowing flowers beneath her fingertips, the hush of the sky all around her, the lightness in her own body. And for just a moment she understood. Not every dream must have a purpose. Some are meant simply to be felt. When she finally left the field, the foxes watched her go, their golden eyes shimmering in the dark. "Remember," one of them called after her, "the dream you're looking for might already be inside you." The Whispering River. The silver-winged owl led her next to a river made of mist, its surface rippling without sound. The air here was thick with echoes, soft voices that drifted like falling leaves, too faint to understand, but filled with longing. "What is this place?" she asked the owl. "The river carries the dreams that were never spoken aloud," the owl answered, "the ones that people were too afraid to wish for." Calla knelt by the water's edge, letting her fingers pass through the mist. As she listened, the echoes grew clearer. "I wish I had been brave enough to tell her I loved her. I always wanted to paint, but I was afraid I wouldn't be good enough. I dreamed of flying, but I never took the leap." Calla felt something tighten in her chest. So many dreams, left unspoken, unclaimed. She closed her eyes, and a quiet fear surfaced within her, a fear she had ignored for so long. Had she done the same? Had she spent so many nights weaving dreams for others that she had never dared to ask for one herself? The river whispered back, though no words were needed. Calla stood, feeling something shift inside her. She had to keep going. She had to find out what her own dream sounded like before it became nothing more than an echo in the mist. The wind chimes of memory. As she traveled further, the sky became filled with floating wind chimes made of silver and pearl, hanging from nothing at all. They swayed in the breeze, and as they moved, they sang. Each chime carried a different note, a different feeling. Some were bright, like laughter carried through an open window. Others were softer, filled with something like longing. Calla reached out, letting her fingertips brush one of the chimes. A sound rang out, not just a sound, but a memory. She saw herself as a child, long before she had become a dreamweaver. She was lying beneath a sky full of stars, humming a melody to herself, one she had never written down but had never forgotten. It was a song of wonder, a song of belonging, and suddenly she knew. She had spent so long giving dreams away, she had forgotten what it felt like to be inside one. That was her dream. Not to create, not to give, but to feel wonder for herself. As soon as she realized it, the path to the dreamscape appeared before her, a silver archway shimmering in the night. She had found the answer, and now she was ready to step inside. Calla stood before the shimmering archway to the dreamscape, a gateway woven from silver mist and soft starlight. The wind stirred gently around her, carrying with it the faintest hum of a melody. The same tune she had heard in the wind chimes of memory, the one she had once sung as a child. She had spent so many nights weaving dreams for others, watching them drift away like lanterns on the wind. But now, for the first time, she carried a dream of her own. Not a vision of comfort for someone else, but a quiet wish nestled deep in her heart. She stepped forward. As soon as her foot touched the mist, the archway glowed brighter, and a feeling like warmth and weightlessness wrapped around her. The world seemed to hush, as if it had been waiting for her. And then, she was inside. The dreamscape. The dreamscape was unlike anything Calla had ever seen, not because it was filled with impossible wonders, but because it felt familiar, like home. The sky stretched above her in swirling shades of deep indigo and violet, the stars glowing softly, not as distant pinpricks of light, but close enough to touch. Beneath her feet was a vast lake, perfectly still, reflecting the entire sky above so flawlessly that it felt as though she were floating in endless space. There was no rush, no urgency, just stillness. For the first time in her life, Calla did not have to create anything. She did not have to spin dreams from moonlight or weave comfort into thread. She could simply exist, held in the same wonder she had spent her life giving to others. She lay back, her body sinking gently onto the surface of the mirrored lake, which cradled her like the softest cloud. The water was warm, but not wet. The stars shimmered above her and below her, as if she were floating between two universes, weightless and infinite. She closed her eyes, and for the first time, she dreamed. She dreamed of laughter, of golden fields, of running barefoot through the wind. She dreamed of herself as a child, humming that forgotten melody, twirling beneath a sky of falling stars. She dreamed of being part of the magic she had given away so freely, not just an observer, but a dreamer herself. The realization settled in her chest like a heartbeat. She had been whole all along. She just hadn't known it. The journey home. When Calla awoke, the dreamscape had faded, but the warmth of it remained within her. She stood at the edge of the silver mist, feeling the soft pull of the wind. The same wind that had carried her away from her home, now guiding her back. But she was not the same. She had come here believing she had no dreams of her own. She had spent her life giving, creating, filling the sky with light for others. But now she understood. She deserved that same light. And so, when she stepped back onto the floating island of dreams, she did not rush to her loom. She did not fill the silence with the busy movement of weaving. Instead, she sat beneath the moonflowers, closed her eyes, and let herself simply be. She would still weave dreams. Of course, she would. That was part of who she was. But now, she would also allow herself to dream for herself, to feel wonder, to receive as much as she gave. The stars shimmered above, the wind hummed its quiet melody, and Calla smiled. She was home, and for the first time she felt complete.